Baptist Church, Bandan Suagulo, kodwa sikulisedi Community Church, the new church plant S9. Sibonga iviki eziphumela ngaphambili, khuluma ngevangeli, baba uNkwane, baba umthetho. Ngize la ngikhuluma that the gospel transforming power. uNkulunkulu asinike ivangeli, ufuna siboneni ngevangeli, ufuna senzeni ngevangeli, ufuna ivangeli lenzeni kithi. Si transforma from kuphi, ukuchange or transform, sisuswa kuphi siya kuphi, kuyabonakala na. Incwadi kaMark, uMark ubhala as a servant. He presents Jesus Christ as the servant who served, who came to minister and who ministered to people. Christ came for you. As we've heard John chapter 3, he came for people. As we heard from Genesis 3, who are lost because of sin, who are away from God, and who have made their own God, who have believed their own belief. And at that point, life now became so difficult. Genesis 3, verse 15, the seed of the woman and also will bruise the head, and the seed of the serpent will bruise. Then the serpent on its own dominate and control man. It was not just the serpent, but the spiritual serpent, who Satan, became real in the affairs of men. And he took control in those affairs of men. And the seed of a woman, which the woman does not have a seed, which God will provide that seed to that woman, and that woman not having slept with a man, but being found being pregnant, but still being a virgin. Where Isaiah said, out of the dry ground he came out. Meaning of the virgin birth, which is Christ coming. And in that, the seed of a woman and the seed of the serpent, they will always have this what you call constant fight. One will bruise, one will take the heel. And it's a battle up to that far and up to now. We are still fighting that. And it's real and it's happening. People are dying not because they are sick or all that, because of sin. And because people are decaying, not because that they want to decay, they want to go down, but sin does that. But praise God for the seed of a woman. And we find that seed now is in the person of Christ. God took the form of man, and he became what he was not. And he became a man, and he walked in Jerusalem, and he walked in the midst of people. To do what? To redo, to transform life, to come and challenge all those difficulties. In the book of Mark, you will see all these social ills, all those who are paralyzed, all those who are demonic possessed. It gives us the blind, it opens us to things that we might not know, to some things that we do know. It opened to us why some people maybe are sick. Some are sick because of their sin. Some are sick because of the influence of certain spirit. The book of Mark opened to us a lot of things that we find ourselves also in this room. Many maybe have been sick. Many are still struggling with certain issues. Some they just struggle, not that someone has done anything to them. They can't sleep at night. It's a struggle that every man faces. Some are sick because they have got this long sickness. And the condition of man is helpless, is hopeless. But in the book of Mark chapter 5, title of my message is the displayed power of Jesus. The displayed power of Jesus. Jesus displayed his power there. And it does not start from chapter 5. He starts from chapter 4. In chapter 4, he teaches about the parables and all that. But he moved from the greatness as a teacher to his greatness as a Lord of the universe, where he deal with the issue that of danger when the sea was against them. He became the Lord of creation in chapter 4, verse 34, verse 35 to 41. We see Jesus calming the storm. We see his disciples. They were facing danger of death. And some may say, Master, don't you care we die? And he wake up and calm the storm. One of the intriguing questions is that when he calmed the storm, some of the disciples, they ask themselves, hey, that's somebody. Who is this man? Who is this man? Even the wind and the sea obeyed him. Who is this man? We have never seen such. And after that, he goes to chapter 5. Immediately when he comes out of the boat, some evil forces, demonic powers, that have tormented men. He's an old man. Anatoly. People have tried so many things. They run to him and they know who he is. But his disciples didn't know who he is. Because in the spiritual world, Jesus is known who he is. You are in chapter 5. I hope in Sang London. Angalala ngisho. Bengizothola sendlini. Bese abantu nithi ngilokuqhubeka ningabheki nesikhathi. We won't read the entire chapter 5, but I will preach the entire from verse 1 to 43. Won't be long. There are two sections here. The one of the men, the two are intertwined. They hammer together. They are common. Lega Jairus and the woman with an issue of blood. They say when the road, the penalty in Jacob. No one before or since has ever fractionally approached the power of Jesus Christ has. Jesus Christ's miracles were undeniable. Cannot deny them. They were spectacular. They were not fake. They were real. They were overwhelming. They were abundant. There are many. If you read from chapter 1, he continued to do a lot of miracles, healing people instantly. They were awesome. Means they were genuine. They were authoritative. They were without limit. They were convincing. And they were changing lives. And there is no one who has ever done so. There are a lot of fake prophets who try to fake miracles, who play with emotions of people. But in Christ was not like that. In Christ was not, it was instant. I just want to imagine in the book of John how Lazarus, from being stinking, from dead, abolile angazi ibungu zayaphi umzimba wakhe monjani indwangu beyikhona, but in a moment Jesus said Lazarus come forth, and he come forth, and when he come forth he was okay, because the only problem was that Jesus said msusele lezinto lendwangu zabantu abafile sekayaphila manje. I don't know what happened or was that, but he came real. The people who say, hey, because Jesus was a miracle, we will also do more than. No, it's not like that. The thing that we have done that is extra from Christ is that He had 12 disciples. And through those 12, he multiplied us. And the plenty of Christians and the lot of churches today. Greater again, people are being saved. People are being transformed. People are being changed by the message of the gospel. Where we read, as we look in verse 1 to verse 20, we find a man who was sitting emathuneni, bosho amaketanga. He didn't choose that life. Circumstances and power beyond him forces him to be in that condition. It means he was overcome by that situation. And man as man, they tried. They tried. He was overpowering them. Adabula namaketa. Abantu banasazi benzani basinike into ezikhohlisayo abasusi lapha. Amaketanga was not a solution. Now one restrainer, one oppressor wokuthi angabi free as he want. But because he was violent, he was possessed by a lot of demonic in him. He had no power, but he had his physical body. And he ended up angry. The forces that were in him, no one could tame them. And it's the same thing today. Don't you think so? Don't you think so? I'm driving. I'm going to the freeway. Bayahamba nje. Umuntu lo unabazali, ubaba, umama, usisi. Akasagezi. Sanolile. Siyajoka nangabo. Uthi bambuya ngoba bekathanda istrati, mamhambisa estratini. We see those things, aren't we? But the Bible explained now to us. Here in chapter 5, what we see here is Jesus the power over the demon. Look at verse 2, it says, and when he had come out of the boat, immediately, a man from the tomb with an unclean spirit met him. This man was not sober. He was not alone. He had an unclean spirit. Umoya ongcolile. Lo moya ongcolile akusi lo ongcoliswa yintuthu. No. These were evil spirits, which we call demons, which we call fallen angels, which were opposed with Satan who fall, who will come down. And Mark put it to us in display that those demons were allowed by Christ, when none were allowed. And every time you read the gospel, even in the book of Acts, everywhere, wherever there is Christ walking, wherever or the apostle in the book of Acts walking, there is manifestation of those powers. There is manifestation of those evil forces that were tormenting people. Some were tormented by people whom they called the prophet. Some were tormented by people who called Laba Amasosar, and they were tormented by those because those things were not healing them. They were not helping them, but they were enslaving them. They were killing them. They wanted to destroy them. They were changing their lives. And this man, if you look at this man stayed at the tomb, I don't know for how many years. And when verse 3 said, and he had his dwelling among the tombs, and no one was able to bind him anymore, and even with chains. Even though no one. Must not suicide Jesse letela. Must no one. Sishumangonde. No one. Sishisonto lelamans. No one. Sishuba bukobe. No one. Sishizangoma lezo itumile zala itembisa. No one. Sishumane se school esvelema TV. No one could do anything. Shishonale indame ni fanga makhalweni. No one could let the help. Shishonale manzi enwadlayo wama oil na no one. Those of us keep high with basizi. Because the man needs help. And this help does not come Because it's not about material things or physical things that can help this thing. This is a spiritual war. And they are spiritual beings. And not just spiritual beings, fallen beings who don't have bodies, who are not incarnate like Christ, but they incarnate themselves forcefully in the life of people through sin. And they came and dwelled human beings and indwelled them. This man was indwelled. He was hopeless. Even if they couldn't profit or teen, but if they are available, this man's condition was going to be worse and worse and worse until he died. There are people who die in the same condition because they don't have help, and whatever they attempt to get the help from, it is helpless, and their condition are hopeless. There is no change in their life. And it says, "Bona lezi ntangisho, zikhona lethembisa ngisho, zikhona kuba emafamily wethu ngisho." Umntwana beka right, una 10, sekayisangoma manje. Akagitshelwanga abodala bakini, akagitshelwanga abogogo bakini, ujitshelele moya naye, lela. Ngizoyichaza masana, ugitshelwe yiyo. Akusiwo umoya abadala lo. Ngoba even nabo abadala bafi banganawo lo moya, bazama nabo. Manje why ba-change umntwana? Why ba-change umuntu? Ukuthi angabi ngale ndlela. Le nto behlele emathuneni. And mhlawumbe asazi ubeshadile or bengashadanga. Asazi ukuthi ubaba kabani or ubhuti kabani. Asikho nesibongo. Because that's what devil and sin does. It makes you nobody. It takes you out of existence. It puts you where you don't want to be. Today is all over. Look at verse 4. It said, because he often been bound with shackles and chain had been torn apart. They are giving us the setting. They are giving us the life. Made to give us the life of this man. The condition that he was living. The difficult condition he was. And he lived with chain. And apart from the shackles, broken in pieces, no one was strong enough. Even Amajayi. No one. You never condition with the others born and don't do shower, son. Maybe never put if they were called those days. They also, because this is not a normal condition. This is not a normal condition. And it's the same thing. Sin is not a normal condition. It is not a condition that we were created for and created by the Holy God. That's why God hates sin so much, because it tells man not to be what God intended you to be. You were created and made and wonderfully created by God to worship Him, to worship Him alone. Look at verse 5. It was not just a monthly thing, it's a daily thing. Constantly night and day among the tombs and in the mountain, he was crying out, gushing himself with stone. Constantly. You know, one of the texts in the New in the epistle, Montreux, is the Bible singamningi usathane ini? Singamningi usathane ini? Namhlanje mawukuthi umuntu yothwasa isangoma unika usathane indawo. That's why abantwana bogogo. That's why mabhodla fana. That's why we change lifestyle yabo. And once you are Satan down, the only now things you do, you will be his disciple. You start to speak lies. You start to speak lies. In Genesis 4:13, Eve said, "Inyoka, yenze, inkhohlisile, ngahle." And we're all liars, aren't we? It's a proof that we are sinners. And that's why when Christ came, if he came, we have to just must not commit things or so, umuntu akhuluma iqiniso lapha phezulu. Lo mhlaba wakholapha phuphansi. Yawazwa? Hayi angisi right mina. Nathuna abantu right angisi right nanda. Noma ngabe ngapha angisi nina manga nana ngisho maqambile futhi izolo namhlanje bemaqambile ngisho. Angisi right nani la. Everyone mama khuluma iqiniso kanani bakhuluma iqiniso ukuthi kwenzakalani ngoba everything will collapse ngoba kumele baboshwe bonke kumele basuke ekhundleni. The devil is a liar, and his aim with life is to kill, destroy, and murder. He was a murderer from the beginning. Look at this man's life. He turned this man around his life. Amhlalisa endaweni angafuni ukuhlala kuyo. And nalethanda amathuna ngizoyikhuluma ngelanga. And the way Satan asithandisa amathuna ngakhona thina bantu abamnyama uyasithandisa ngisho. Hayi gogo wami lo. Hayi gogo kunzima. And beyangalaleli itsotsi. Beyangalaleli gogo beshana bale pension shushu. Ifaka hambe ngayo. Ugogo aholile. But ugogo angasekho manje sekuneguilty na. Sengahamba lokubhizi ukhale emathuneni. There's no help emathuneni. Sangabe mina isikhathi singangishayi. Look at this man was crying. Look at verse 6. And seeing Jesus from a distance, he ran up and bowed down before him. Now we can change everything now. This man ran and bowed before Jesus. Now if we have spiritual eyes, it's no longer this man running to Jesus and bow because of verse 7 and 8. Look at verse 7. It said, and crying out with a loud voice, he said, what do I have to do with you, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I implore you by God, do not torment me. Now, the man in his physical body who has power and all that, now he ran to Jesus, and when he comes to Jesus, he doesn't hurt him, he doesn't do anything, he bowed down, and he cried with a loud voice, and said, what did you do? Don't torment me. Look at verse 8. For he had been saying to him, come out of the man, you unclean spirit. Jesus was saying, come out, you unclean spirit. And he was asking him, what is your name? And he said to him, my name is Legion, for we are many. And he began to entreat himself earnestly and not to send them out of the country. Continue because of time. Now there was a big herd of swine feeding there on the mountain. And they entreated him, saying, send us into the swine that we may enter. And then he came and he gave them permission. And coming out, the unclean spirit entered the swine, and the herd rushed down the steep bank into the sea, about 2,000 of them, and they were all drowned in the sea. Let's picture this so that you can see that.